Hi everyone, and welcome to another Doctor Who figure review by me, Mega Shots. Now today I'm going to be reviewing another figure which is from Wave 1D of the Series 6 figure line, and another figure which is from the episode Closing Time. And as you can see, it is the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage and lightning effect hands. Now my mum got this figure for me recently from Boots for £15. I was really happy when I found out that she got it for me, because this is a figure I'd been looking for quite some time. Not only does this figure come with the lightning effect hands, but it also comes with an additional Cyberman head accessory, which I believe is the one used at the end of Closing Time by the Cyberman to try and upgrade Craig Owens. There's one version of this figure with the lightning effect hands which just comes with the lightning effect hands, and then there was another which was released later than the first version, obviously, which did also come with the additional head accessory. I believe it's exactly the same one which came with the Cyberman with chest damage from Wave 1C. I don't think there are any differences, but if there are, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, before we go into any more detail about the figure and its accessories, we're going to take a quick look at the package. Okay, so if we take a look at the front, we can see it is as normal for Wave 1D figure packaging. You've got the figure with its accessories in a clear plastic bubble in the middle, along with a card at the bottom which shows the Doctor Who logo and the name of the figure. Also tells you what you're getting at the top of the front part of the packaging as well. Then if we take a look at the back, we can see all the other figures from Wave 1D of the Series 6 figure line, and the usual product and company information at the bottom. Okay, so that's it for the packaging, and now we're going to take a look at the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage. Okay, so here we have the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage from Closing Time. This figure is currently only available as part of Wave 1D of the Series 6 figure line. You will not be able to find it in any other wave, nor any of the Series 6 figure sets which have been released recently. It could be re-released in the future though. So anyway, now it's time to take a look at the detailed paperwork and sculpting of this awesome Cyberman. So if we begin by taking a look at his head sculpt, we can see it is very similar to the head sculpts we've seen on many other Cyberman figures from the new series. You've got the really nice black teardrop eyes, the little mouth, the various lines and sections going all over the face and all over various parts of the head. You've got the nice handlebars as well. As you can see, the handlebar on the right hand side of the screen is blue at the top. This isn't a production error, it is meant to look like handlebar damage, because the one with limb damage in the episode Closing Time did actually have damage to the handlebar. The damage does look really nice, it's a nice part of the figure. It's quite hard to actually notice the handlebar damage from a long distance away, but when you look at it up close it is quite easy to see. The head sculpt has been painted really nice. It's been painted with a metallic silver colour with a really nice brown or bronze wash over the top, which really does help to make the figure look really nice and lifelike. Makes this Cyberman look really old and dirty, which is how the Cyberman in Closing Time did look. Here's a look at it at the back. Also on the front of the Cyberman head sculpt we can see the detail of the vents at the top there. I think the head sculpt of this figure is excellent. It's got all the detail that it needs, looks really nice and accurate. I absolutely love the paintwork. It just looks so awesome through my eyes and through the camera. It really does look as if it's been made out of metal, even though it has actually been made out of plastic. So if we take a look at his chest now, we can see that this is also a really nicely detailed part of the figure. You've got the chest plate in the middle there, which does not feature the Cybers logo. Some extra bits of metal which have obviously been used to repair some previous chest damage which this Cyberman has had. We never actually saw the chest damage that this Cyberman had in the episode Closing Time. We just saw him with these extra panels of metal on some parts of his chest, just near the chest plate and also on top of his left shoulder. The rest of the detail is pretty much normal for a new series Cyberman. On the chest you've got the vents on the sides, the sections leading down to the waist, the two big panels of metal on the back there, and also some vents underneath that. Also on this particular Cyberman variant you've got some dents just near the chest plate, which you can just about see in the middle of the screen there. These were featured on this particular Cyberman in the episode Closing Time. I think it's really good that they are actually on the figure. You can't really see them from a long distance away, but they are quite easy to spot if you're looking at it up close. I think the chest looks really good the way it is. I really like the way it's been painted. It's been painted exactly the same way as the head sculpt, silver on one layer with a brown or bronze wash on top, which really does help to make it look as if it's been made from an old and rusty type of metal. Really does help to make the figure look that extra bit accurate and lifelike. That's it for the chest for now. Great part of the figure. Now we're going to take a look at his arm. So if we begin by taking a look at his left arm, we can see this is very similar to the left arms of many of the previous new series Cyberman figures. On the top you've got a big bit of metal along with the handlebar at the side. You've got the wires which connects the upper arm to the lower arm. As I said in my review of the Cyberman with face damage, I would have preferred these if they were black like they were in the episodes instead of silver, but they are really nice just the way they are. On the lower part of his left arm we can also see some repaired damage. There's quite a few screws just there. You can also see some at the bottom there. Both the hands on this Cyberman figure are open hands, by the way, so they can hold the lightning hand accessories. The detail and paintwork on the right arm is also pretty much the same, but we can also see on his right arm a bit of damage on the upper arm, which reveals some of the wires inside this Cyberman's upper arm. And also on the lower arm we can see two holes where the gun arm used to be attached. I actually only just noticed this now. I think it's a really great feature of the figure. I actually didn't notice these holes in the Cyberman's arm in the episode. It's probably because I've not watched it for a while, but I'm sure they were on that Cyberman. Really great parts of the figure. They are holes, by the way, they're not just bits of black paint. So those are the arms, very nice, got all the detail that they need and great paintwork as well. I really like the detail of the damage that they have, and they do look absolutely brilliant up close. So if we take a look at his waist now, we can see this is exactly the same as the waist of any other new series Cyberman figure. You've got the little vents at the front, and also surrounding it you've got the wires which attach various parts of this Cyberman together. As I said before, I do think the wires could have been better if they were painted black instead of silver, because then the figure would be a bit more accurate, but they still look very nice the way they are. They've been very nicely painted and they've been sculpted really well. Here's just a quick look at his waist from the back. We can see some Cyberman figure copyright information there as well. So now we're going to take a look at his legs. The legs of this particular Cyberman figure are also exactly the same as that of any other new series Cyberman figure. You've got the really nice detail of the handlebars on the sides, the screws at the top, the screws in the middle where the knees come into place, the two vents on each knee which have only just been added to the Cyberman figures. These have actually been on the Cybermen in the new series for quite a while, but I think they've only just been added onto the figures. Really nice to see them on the figures now, makes them look just that little bit more accurate. And a nice bit of additional detail which we can only find on this particular Cyberman figure is the damage on his lower leg. If we take a look at it up close, we can see that some of the wires have been painted with a light blue colour, a couple of them have been painted green, and all the others have been painted silver. If we take a look at his feet now, we can see that they are also exactly the same as that of any other new series Cyberman. Obviously they've got the colour scheme of this particular Cyberman figure, the silver on one layer with a bit of rust on top. Really like the way they've been sculpted. They look exactly like the ones from the show. If we take a look at them from the bottom, we can see that they've got the bumpy bits which the new series Cyberman have at the bottom of their feet. So that's pretty much all the basic detail of the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage. I think the detail on this particular Cyberman figure is absolutely brilliant. It has all the usual bits of detail for a new series Cyberman figure, and also all the additional bits of detail that it needs to be an accurate representation of the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage from Closing Time, like the chest damage, the arm damage, and even the leg damage, and also the handlebar damage on the head sculpt, obviously. The paintwork is also absolutely fantastic. I really like the way it's been painted with metallic silver with a bronze or brown wash over the top, which really does help to make it look very old, rusty, and also a bit dirty in quite a few places. So that's pretty much all I had to say for the detailed paintwork and sculpting for now. Okay, articulation. His head can do a 360-degree turn, and because it's ball jointed it can also move up and down and wobble a bit. The arms can do a 360-degree turn from the shoulders, and because they are ball jointed they can move outwards at the shoulders as well. Arms can also bend at the elbows, and both hands can do a full 360-degree turn. You can turn at the waist a bit. The waist on my one seems to be a bit stiff. The legs can also do a 360-degree turn because they are on a very odd type of joint. They can also move outwards a bit, bend at the knees, and also the feet can turn 360 degrees, and because they are on ball joints also, they can wobble a bit. So that's all the articulation of this particular Cyberman figure. I don't think it needs any improvements whatsoever. You can put him into some great poses just by himself or with his accessories. It's exactly the same as that of any other new series Cyberman figure, by the way, but obviously not the character building ones and not the destroyed Cyberman which we saw from series 2 back in 2007. So now it's time for me to give a summary of my thoughts on this figure. So overall, I think the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage is a really brilliant addition to my Doctor Who figure collection. This is by far my favourite Series 6 Cyberman figure yet. The detail on this figure is absolutely brilliant. It's got all the detail of a normal new series Cyberman figure, and also the great additional detail that the figure needs to be an accurate representation of the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage from closing time. It's got the detail of the damage on the head, the chest damage, the arm damage, and even the leg damage, and also the dents on the chest. The paintwork on this figure is also absolutely brilliant in my opinion. Really like the way it's been painted to look as if it's been made out of an old and rusty kind of metal. As I said before, I think the wires could have been better if they were painted black, but I tend to forget about that thing quite a lot because the rest of the paintwork on this figure is just absolutely amazing. The sculpting is also absolutely brilliant. I haven't got anything to say about that I think could have been improved, and as I just said, the articulation is absolutely fine in my opinion. So, if I was to give the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage from closing time a 8 out of 10, I'd say I'd quite happily give him a 9 out of 10. He is a absolutely brilliant Cyberman variant. As I said before, I just think the wires could have been better if they were painted black, so then the figure would be just that extra bit better and also that extra bit more accurate. Still a brilliant figure though. I'm not too fussed about the fact that the wires are just silver. Still a absolutely awesome addition to my Doctor Who figure collection. And now it's time to take a look at its accessories, starting off with the additional Cyberman head. Okay, so here we have the additional Cyberman head. It's got some really nice detail. We can see that it is pretty much just a normal Cyberman head, all opened up, a new series Cyberman head that is. You can see loads of wires around where the eyes and mouth are, the wires towards the back of the head, and also the wires at the bottom from obviously where this Cyberman's head has been pulled out of a normal Cyberman's body. And on the side we can see the teardrop eyes of the Cyberman, the little mouth, the lines in various sections on the face, the handlebars on the sides, and all the rust on the face and on the back of the head. And now I'm going to quickly compare this particular Cyberman head to the head of the Pandorica Wave Cyberman. Okay, so here we have the heads of these two particular Cyberman figures. On the right we have the head of the Pandorica Wave Cyberman, and on the left we have the head of the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage, the head accessory that is. Now, at first I thought these two were made from exactly the same sculpt, but actually I'm wrong. If we take a look at the head accessory which comes with the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage, we can see that it has a lot more detail inside the face, got loads more wires than the head of the Pandorica Wave Cyberman. Also we can see that the head on the left does actually have two handlebars on top, whereas the Pandorica Wave Cyberman's head only has one. It's also been painted a lot differently. We can see that the head on the left is much more of a light silver colour, whereas the head on the right is more of a brown colour. The rest of the detail though is pretty much just exactly the same, but as we can also see, the head on the left is also slightly smaller than the one on the right. I'm actually glad that the head on the left is smaller than the other one, because the head for the Cyberman on the right was actually a little bit too oversized. So if I was to give the head accessory, which comes with the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage, a rating out of 5, I'd say give it a 5 out of 5. It's a really nicely detailed accessory, brilliant for scene recreations and figure adventures, and it's really nicely detailed. Okay, so that's it for this accessory. Now we're going to take a quick look at the lightning effect. Okay, so here we have the lightning effect hands of this particular Cyberman figure. These are made from a fairly soft light blue translucent plastic. They do fit into the hands quite well, but sometimes it does take quite a while to get them in. So perhaps they could have been a bit better if they were made from more of a hard plastic so that they'd fit into the hands a little more easily. They still are really nice accessories though. I think they're absolutely brilliant for scene recreations and figure adventures. We didn't actually see any Cybermen electrocute anyone in closing time, so obviously the lightning effect hands for this figure are more useful for figure adventures than scene recreations. If I was to give them a rating out of 5, I'd say I'd give them a 4 out of 5. They're really nice accessories. I really like how they look, and they are absolutely brilliant for many things, as I just said, but I think they could have been better if they were made from a harder plastic so that they'd fit into the hands a little more easily. And that is pretty much all I have to say for my review of the Corroded Cyberman with limb damage from Wave 1D of the Series 6 figure line. Once again, I think this is an absolutely brilliant Cyberman figure that has some really great accessories, and I'd highly recommend this to any Doctor Who fan that likes the new series and anyone that is interested in collecting the Doctor Who Series 6 figures. Thanks for watching, YouTubers.